Hello and welcome to Unfiltered with Matt. In today's video, we're going to review episode 2 of Queer as Folk on Peacock. So, not a lot happened in this episode. We get to learn the characters and who they are a little bit more. We're taking place after the events of Babylon. So, the episode 2 starts with the opening with lots of people touching themselves, tickling their flute, playing with the squash. I'm not sure what other analogies because I get uncomfortable talking to other people about sex. So we're gonna dive right in and just talk about what they were doing. So we have Mingus who's touching his, I don't know, cucumber, right? And he's looking at a picture of Brody. I found it interesting that Brody's fully clothed in that picture because probably that's the only thing that Mingus can get his hands on. Probably went on his Facebook, Twitter feed and got that. Then we also have Noah, who in the previous episode lost Dadius, who I wasn't a fan of. And we'll talk a little bit about Dadius in this review. And he's touching himself, trying to get relief. And I think that's probably the theme of this opening of this episode. Everybody's just trying to get relief from the stress that they're having. We also have Brody, who's touching himself to porn in the beginning. And then we have Ruthie masturbating in her bed with the laptop beside her. And then Cher, who I have called previously Shar, walks in and says to Ruthie, listen, we got the kids. I'm not sure what you're doing here, but... And then Ruthie looks over and goes, I'm kind of busy. All right, can you go and let me finish? So that's Ruthie for you. And she does finish, and she leaves this glass purple clear dildo on the bed. And I'm not sure how enjoyable that is. Glass kind of scares me because it can chip, and all of our phones have glass screens, and we know how reliable those are. So, but anyways, I read that also Pyrex is marketed in sex toys as far as hey, this is very strong, it's Pyrex. And you're like, isn't it? Oh yeah, I know that from the dishware. Yeah, I'm gonna rely on you. I'm gonna get this. But moving on from that, we're gonna reorganize a review and actually talk about the characters a little bit, talk about what we liked, and then talk about what wasn't so great in this episode, and then how the show ended. So Brody in this episode, I wish there was a little more development around the character to get him know him better. Obviously, he's going through a few things, but we know that he's pissing off lots of people in this episode, at least from my point of view. His mom tries to talk to him about what he's been through at Babylon, and he completely brushes it off and, tries to escape it and goes with Julian. Goes to baby shower at Ruthie's, and he insults the guest. Brody, like I said, is just pissing people off in this episode. Cher speaks up and says, hypocrite, and, Brody leaves. He's lucky he's cute, Brody, because, after, everyone being so angry at him, I'm not sure if he was going to have any friends at the end of the episode, but Ruthie, like we talked about in episode 1, seems to be attached to Brody, so she doesn't care. She's I agree with him. We get to see a little bit interaction with Brody and his mom, Brenda, and I thought it was kind of interesting because Brody gets this note from his father, and I guess it was not very sensitive. It's his dad's a jerk, and he asks his mom, why do you stay with dad? And she was like, well, I stay with him because he has a nice penis, and she goes, I admit, your dad's a jerk, So right now, Brenda's only staying because of the schlong. We do get to see a little bit more of Julian, and if you know my episode 1 review, I was really excited to see Ryan O'Connor and his character. So over here, he goes to the mall with Brody because Brody's just trying to escape, and I thought that their interaction was interesting. Obviously, Brody's not really close to his brother. Brody just starts insulting Julian like we were talking about. and says like, "Do you even have any friends?" And Julian's like, "Yeah, the people at the mall are my friends." And Julian stands up for himself, and he's talking about like, just because something isn't cool, um, doesn't mean there's something that's not there. It just means you need to look harder. And after that, Julian's like, "Listen, I'm gonna step away from you. I need to go to the bathroom. Bye." And then at the mall, we discover that Julian's gay because he was caught having sex with a guy in the bathroom. We don't see anything, but let's use our imaginations, right? So we also get to see that Julian later decides to move in with Brody and Noah in the episode later in the episode, and we get to see that Julian, when he swaps phone with Brody, messages Noah to say, "Hey, Brody really needs you." So you see that Julian is looking out for his brother, but Brody, I mean, you know, I think that Julian's mom and Brody's mom says it best to Julian. She goes, "Listen, just be careful, Brody, because Brody only looks out for Brody." And that's what you kind of see. So for Ruthie in this episode, you see that she's going through a lot as well. However, we're solidifying the impression that she is not as mature as maybe she maybe should be as a teacher. I'm surprised she still has a job because um, you see like the beginning episode when she's touching herself that Cher is taking care of the baby. Like I was like, "Hello, Ruthie, did you want the baby? Because like all you're doing is touching yourself. We have kids." Cher says to her that she's used to Ruthie being this person who cries and is sensitive and everything. And I hear Cher saying that, but I see no evidence of Ruthie being that person. I mean, even in episode 1, she seemed a little bitchy. And this episode, when Mingus, she interacts with him, she tells Mingus that Brody's going to be at the vigil, even though she knows that he's not going to be. So, little shadiness there. We do get to discover that Ruthie is struggling with apparently just like being, I don't even know what to say. It's like feeling in her own skin. She tells Cher that, "Hey, when I was a gay boy, a lot of people found me attractive. Mid transition, nobody found me attractive. Then I completed my transition and I'm hot again." And that kind of messed with her head. Um, and I think that Cher is a good match, I guess, as far as like always being there, but eventually she's going to probably get exhausted. Um, and I'm not sure if Ruthie's going to care, to be honest, because, I mean, Brody's her world. It seems she will drop everything for Brody. I do like that Cher had a moment just to show, be the voice of reason when they are speaking up to Brody and also speaking to Ruthie. I do wonder what Cher sees in Ruthie. Maybe Cher's the person that likes to fix things, or maybe there's this side that Cher says that they saw and we're not seeing it, because I don't see it. So Noah, who I find nice to look at, and I feel like I would have dated Noah or wanted to. We found out he's a lawyer, and I wouldn't want to date him because of that. But it seems like he's a really nice person. Um, he doesn't rub success in anyone's face. He is going through a difficult time with the loss of Dadius. He sees like Dadius in the copy room and stuff like that, but you know how I feel about Dadius. I mean, the the little clips that we see of like Dadius and the images don't really give me much about like why would Noah, being such a good person, want to be with him. I mean, as far as like you know, so I mean, Dadius, I feel like the show's not doing a service in that regard. Like I want to feel something, and Daddy's not doing it for me. And he's gone, and I feel bad. He can't even speak for himself bad. All we have is these memories. And I think that someone should probably please check on Noah because everyone else, I mean, Brody is like going to visit Ruthie. They're having a little thing, but Brody doesn't even think to check on Noah. I mean, come on. We see Mingus here, and he comforts Brody at the mall when he sees him. He's stealing Kylie Jenner makeup at the ball. I saw Mingus's sweater and I thought it looked like a whole bunch of belly button piercings. And I was like, oh, but we have established that Mingus has a unique style. We don't get to see much of Mingus really being affected in this episode by Babylon and the event. And you would think, since he's the youngest of all the individuals, that maybe he would have some impact that we would see in episode 2. Maybe we'll see in episode 3, but I think it's a missed opportunity not to see that here. I mean, that's the thing I think that the episode 2 and the show right now is showing little struggle with, is like you have this large event of Babylon and those things that happened, and then you're trying to still introduce characters. I don't like waiting for the large event at the end of the season and then we're left on a cliffhanger, or we're not sure if the show is going to be renewed. So I feel like there was a little awkwardness of how to transition from that, and I feel like Mingus could have used a little more development in this episode just to show that. I feel bad for Mingus because, Ruthie, making Mingus get the impression that Brody wants to see him, and then he goes to the vigil, and then Brody's like, ugh, and then Ruthie's like, oh, I really didn't think you were coming, so I just haven't swallowed goose chase. Thanks, Ruthie. So now we have Mingus who's hurt. So as far as the good in the episode, I do like the scenes with Julian. I do like seeing the character development there. I like that he's honest with Brody. I do like getting to know a little bit more about Noah in the episode, even though it wasn't that much. I do like the interaction between Ruthie and Cher. And I do like Ruthie opening up. I did enjoy that scene. And I can relate to some of that. Like, sometimes we don't feel comfortable in our skin, no matter if you're a person who is transgendered or not. We all go through that. So I think that that's where we can relate to that. I was like, yeah, Ruthie, I get you, but stop being a bitch, I want to shake her and go, ah. So, and well played by Jesse. So they're not so good. Babylon, like I said, I think the show's just struggling with having that be in the first episode. Maybe we should have got a more connection to Babylon and all the people and the environment. But maybe they thought that would be too traumatic for us as audience, because we did see there's controversy around even putting it in episode 1, and we're kind of skating past it. Thaddeus, we killed him in episode 1, and I'm still having a hard time. No one's struggling, and I get it, but I feel bad. I feel bad for that. I don't like Thaddeus as much. I think this episode, as far as also the not so great, was with the trauma. I think there were some missed opportunities or some realistic things. Everyone's trying to escape, even having someone to talk to. And at least from my personal experience, it would have been nice to maybe see a character trying to gravitate towards just trying to talk, because I've been through traumatic things, and not having anyone talk to you it's very lonely, and I felt like I wanted to talk to people. So the episode ends with people or sex. We have Brody and Noah having sex, and I think that Brody thinks that they're going to get back together, and you look at Noah looking like, what the heck did I just do? And he's not, it doesn't look like it's going to work out. And then we have a sex scene between Cher and Ruthie. You get to see that Ruthie is going through a lot, and I really like this because Jesse did a really good job. I'm not sure if I could do crying that well. She's laying in the bed after them having sex, and she's crying, and you could tell it looks like what she told Cher early on in the episode about her feeling disconnected is true. She's going through this inner turmoil, and I'm not sure if it really just has to do with the events of Babylon. It may be other things as well that the character has been going through. I do feel like lots of people who do act very tough in their exterior are going through this defense mechanism of the world and trying to keep people out. So try not to judge, and that's why I should be nicer to Thaddeus as well. Let me get to know Thaddeus. Hopefully the show does a better service in the future episodes. So, like I said, the episode did stumble a little bit. I mean, we're trying to move on past the events of Babylon. Um, and that could be a roadblock for the show, but let's see how it goes. I do want to get to know more about the characters. I do enjoy watching the show. I hope that you do as well. Um, like I said, it's just nice to sit back and just enjoy and watch something. So I think that's what's going on here as far as me and the show. And I would like to figure out why some of these characters are together, because sometimes it just seems a little hard to see like that interaction between each other. Cher keeps on being let down by Ruthie, so hopefully the show will let us see that. But that's my review of episode 2. I still am encouraged to continue on with the show and look forward to the future episodes. How about you? Were there any critiques? Did you anything that you didn't disagree with me on this episode? If you like what you're seeing, again, like, subscribe, and until next time, stay safe. Thank you. And we also have a little sex in this episode at the beginning and end.